नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So some recollection from yesterday's discussion. Might take the mic. Do we have, the other one was not working yesterday. Now it's working. No? What is this? Which stand? Achha.
Entanglement of fruitive activities. That chapter, entanglement of fruitive activities. In that chapter, Lord is saying that how a person who is household centered, he uses dharma for artha and
Kama.
then he does everything in the karma kandi way, the whole yagnas and everything, pitru yagna and everything.
Yes.
The first 2-3 shlokas it was spoken.
Yes, correct. Thank you. Any other? Oh, this is the way. This transfer. That is for transfer. Stand. The distance is also too much between the two rows. Yes.
By performing devotional service, one can get qualities of demigods.
In which context was that?
It's like
that is true. It's just the Bhaktir Bhagavati Kinchana, but in which context I'm just not remembering. Anybody else remembers? No, okay, no problem. Any other point? Give him the mic.
Discussing renunciation, actual renunciation, what was there? Actual renunciation, not falgu renunciation. So actual renunciation means renouncing the false ego that lording over to the material nature. That is called as actual renunciation.
That was in the purport, Prabhupada saying. Yes.
You're also talking about the detached, being a detached worker. This is the art of living. So you're actually focusing on that. It's not that person is out of that situation. So Bhagavad also says, Padma Patra Ivam Bhasa. So that one also. That how being in this world, but out of this world.
So internally one is detached, but externally he continues working.
He does his responsibility, duty. And you're telling how fear, desire, duty, love. That is ignorance, passion, goodness, and pure goodness. Kind of that. And this sloka also you quoted Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga Dhana.
Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yai Krishna Name Smarana Krandan. Jai, you captured the beauty of Chaitanya Bhagavat. Any other? Any other remembrance? It is a bit technical only, but what a little discussion we had. Okay, we'll go ahead. This section is from 16 to 21. Lord Kapila criticizes persons who are too materially attached. This is the kind of audience we come across when we are out on the street for book distribution and all, who are having too many attachments or involvement into all materialistic things, movies, newspapers, radios. That means too much of social life. Nowadays, maybe what is it called? WhatsApp or what is it called? Facebook and all that kind of stuff. Social media. So these people unfortunately don't have interest in spiritual life. If at all they go to temple, then it is just some superficial, little bit ritual, religion. So here Pakka Karma Kandi is being described. They even worship the Pitrus and all that. So that is what we're discussing. Last one was 18th one, isn't it? Hari Medhasa. Hari Medhasa, they don't take shelter of Hari, who knows how to destroy samsara. They are not interested in Hari. So 19th. 18th we discussed, isn't it? We read the purport. They may be interested in the activities of a great politician or a great rich man of this world, but they are not interested in the transcendental activities of the Supreme Lord. So that's why when we give books, at least books will remain at home. Sometimes somebody will read something and then his wrong conceptions, attachments will be attacked by Prabhupada only, because he can do better job and we will not be able to successfully able to get them to temple. So distribution of books is a very noble work. We should do it very nicely. 19th. Nunam daivena vihata ye chachyuta katha sudham hitva shrunvantya sadgathaha purisham iva vidbhujaha. So Lord Kapila is very heavy here. Such persons are condemned by the supreme order of the Lord because they are averse to the nectar of the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Cha achyuta katha sudham hitva. They give up. So they are averse. They are compared to stool-eating hogs. Purisham iva vidbhujaha. They are like vidbhujaha. Nayam deho bhajam nurloke kashtan kaman arhate vidbhujam ye. So vidbhuja. They give up hearing the transcendental activities of the Lord, Achyut Katha Sudham Hitva, and indulge in hearing of the abominable activities of materialistic persons. In the purport, Prabhupada says, so all these literatures people are interested into. So they are not interested in genuine books like Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Vishnu Puran, Bible, Quran. They are not interested. These persons are condemned by the supreme order as much as a hog is condemned. The hog is interested in eating stool. If the hog is offered some nice preparation made of condensed milk or ghee, he won't like it. He would prefer obnoxious, bad smelling stool, which he finds very relishable. So these kind of people are condemned very heavily. Srila Jiva Goswami Pad says, for Vihata, is condemned, or he says struck by fate. Nunam daivena vihata ye cha achyuta katha sudham. They are not interested in the nectar of Krishna katha. They give it up. Shrunvanti asat. Shrunvanti asad gatha. Asad gatha. They are interested in all false things of this world. False means temporary things, which are here today, gone tomorrow. So that's why they are compared to vidbhujas, those who eat stool. Jiva Goswami says, such persons have no deliverance from hell. They should not even be described. They reject topics of the Lord and accept material topics like pigs, which reject sugar candy and eat rubbish. So he compares them to pigs undoubtedly, and he says they reject sugar candy. And now let's see what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says. Who would not enjoy nectar if they receive it? Everybody would enjoy it. But who would not receive, who would not enjoy? Pigs. Rejecting milk and sweets, they seek out rubbish. So Vishnu Chakra Thakur said that they reject milk and sweets, and Jiva Goswami says they reject sugar candy. Basically same. They are piggish, pig-like mentality. 20th. Dakshinena patharyamnah pitrulokam vrajanti te prajam anuprajayante shmashananta kritah. Such materialistic persons are allowed to go to the planet called Pitrulokam Vrajanti te, by the southern course of the sun, Dakshinena Patharyamnah. But they again come back to this planet, Prajayante, Prajamanu, Prajayante, and take birth in their own families, beginning again the same fruitive activities from birth to the end of life. Smashan, the crematorium, Anta to the end. Kriya. Prajayante, they take birth. So same thing goes on and on for them. They do Garbhadan Sanskar, so that a nice progeny is born. And then all other sanskar also they do according to Vedic rules, regulations. And then ultimately Antim Sanskar they do. And again come back to same family. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, they are reborn again among their sons and family members. Prajayante. Prabhupada in the purport says that like Tetam Bhuktva Swargalokam Vishanti. They go to the higher planets, but then again are reborn in this world in the same family. They desire to come back in the same family, and they may come back also by Lord's grace. Sometimes in the families you might have seen, they give the same name also, isn't it? And they say also, Dadaji, kya jo bhi hai, Pardada has come back again in the form of this person, somebody. Jiva Goswami says, performing scriptural duties from impregnation to death, they go to Pitrulok by Dakshinayan of the sun and are then reborn among family members. So this is Dakshinayan path. Uttarayan, generally yogis, jnanis, they leave body and don't want to come back. Whereas in Dakshinayan, they come back. So these are this kind of, this category people who will come back. They want to come back, in fact. They don't want salvation. Pitrulok is Pitra's lok, forefathers. That is below where Yamaraj's Rajdhani is there, Sanyamanipuri, somewhere nearby there. Huh? What happened? What I have heard, what I have read maybe, that is next to him, Sanyamanipuri, like that. In that universe photo, somebody has could check in case you are able to find. Narak is different. That is 28 hells. That is also there only nearby, because Yamaraj stays in his Puri, Sanyamanipuri, and all the 28 hells are there. That I also don't know. Anybody knows, has heard. But all these kind of people only, as it is said, they go to the planet called Pitrulok. They perform dharmic life, all that, and they want to enjoy there also. Some may want to go to heaven, some may want to go to Pitrulok as per their whatever it is. Those who worship Pitrus, they go to Pitrulok. How do they take rebirth on earth? That is explained in 21st. Tataste kshina sukrutaha punarlokamimam sati patanti vivasha devahi sadyo vibhramshito dayaha. Kshina sukruta, this is like kshine punni. Sukruti is reduced or means exhausted, then they again come back. When the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they fall down by higher arrangement and again come back to this planet. Just as any person raised to a high position sometimes all of a sudden falls. Read the purport.
It is sometimes found that a person elevated to a very high position in government service falls down all of a sudden and no one can check him. Similarly, after finishing their period of enjoyment, foolish persons who are very much interested in being elevated to the position of president in higher planets also fall down to this planet. The distinction between the elevated position of a devotee and that of an ordinary person attracted to fruitive activities is that when a devotee is elevated to the spiritual kingdom, he never falls down. Whereas an ordinary person falls, even if he is elevated to the highest planetary system, Brahmalok.
So Prabhupada quotes then Abrahma Bhuvana Loka and Mamopetu to Kauntaya Punarjanmana Vidyate. So to two contrasts. Everywhere, even if one goes to Bhuvan, Brahmalok, etc., he has to come back down. And if my devotee is there, he comes to my planet, Punarjanmana Vidyate. He doesn't take birth again. So this last word, Udayaha, proper translates their prosperity. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur translates it as acting for enjoyment. Same meaning, Daivahi, by fate. So that's the end of that section. Any question on this? Anything? Miss, what happened? Something? A reference for? Yes.
In Suhotra Maharaj's book, this reference comes beneath Bilva Swarga is Pitruloka, the personal abode of Yama. This is a heavenly place associated with Soma, the moon god. Near Pitruloka is Narakloka, where sinners suffer hellish torments. Below this is the cosmic ocean called Garbhodak. So it is associated with moon god, but situated below.
Below, yeah. Any other question? Okay. So we go to the next section, 22nd to 26 is conclusion of teachings of Lord Kapila. And it is talking about by bhakti, goals of other paths are also achieved. So bhakti is stressed in this section. Tasmat tvam sarva bhavena bhajasva parameshtinam tadgunashraya bhaktya bhajaniya padambujam. My dear mother, I therefore advise that you take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for his lotus feet are worth worshipping. Sarva bhavena bhajasva. Accept this with all devotion and love, for thus you can be situated in transcendental devotional service. Therefore, now it's concluding. Therefore, sarva bhavena. I'm not sure whether Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says with attention. Prabhupada translates that with loving ecstasy. Same thing. Sarva bhavena bhajasva. Worship parameshtinam, the Supreme Lord, whose attractive, whose lotus feet are very attractive. They are bhajaniya. They are worshipable, meant for worship. But how to worship his lotus feet? With bhakti, by bhakti, bhaktya. Why? Because he has tadguna. He, by his being attracted by his qualities, Lord's qualities, caused by his attractive qualities. In Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says, 15th chapter, 19th verse, Yo mameva asambhudo janati purushattamam sa sarvavid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata. Who knows the translation? No one knows? Yomam eva samhudo. One who knows me like this without any delusion and all that, without samhuda. Janati Purushottamam. Me to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Purusha Uttama. Sa Sarvavid. He is the knower of everyone, everything. Sa Sarvavid Bhajati Mam. He worships me. How? Sarva Bhavena Bharata. With all his heart, all devotion. Read the translation. Yeah, you don't know. 15, 19. You have? If you have, you can read. Translation.
Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharat.
So same conclusion, means this is Bhagavad Gita. So same thing Lord Kapila is also telling. Prabhupada says in the purport, Parameshtinam is sometimes used in connection with Brahma, Parameshti, the Supreme Person. As Brahma is the Supreme Person within this universe, Krishna is the Supreme Personality in the spiritual world. Taking shelter of demigods, even those in the highest positions like Brahma and Shiva, taking shelter of demigods, even those in the highest positions like Brahma and Shiva, is not advised herein. One should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should not take shelter of demigods, even Brahma and Shiva. Sarva Bhavena means in all loving ecstasy. Tad Gunashraya Bhaktya. This means that discharging devotional service unto Krishna is transcendental. It is not material activity. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Those who engage in devotional service are accepted to be situated in the spiritual kingdom. Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpati. They at once become situated in the transcendental kingdom. Last paragraph, Prabhupada says, Bhakti is therefore nirguna, free from all tinges of material qualities. Although the discharge of devotional service appears to be like material activities, it is never saguna or contaminated by material qualities. Tad guna shrayaya means that Lord Krishna's transcendental qualities are so sublime that there is no need to divert one's attention to any other activities. His behavior with the devotees is so exalted that a devotee need not try to divert his attention to any other worship. So stress is on bhakti, devotion to Krishna only. Towards the end, there are two kinds of religious activities, one for material advancement and the other for spiritual advancement. By taking shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna, one is endowed with both kinds of prosperity, material and spiritual. Why then should one go to any demigod? That akamo sarva kamo va? Tivrena. So Krishna can give material prosperity also if it is needed for the devotee's spiritual practice. So better go to Krishna only. That is his conclusion. Hmm. Hmm. And sister go to? No, they have this path, no? What is that path? Karma Kandi path. So by that, they want that pleasure there. They are not so much attracted to those heavenly delights, but as he read there, this is below, but like heavenly planet only. So Pitru Niyanti Piturvrta. Those who worship Pitras, they go to Pitrulok. This is their, as Krishna says, that is the way they go. So here, Sarva Bhavena Jiva Goswami says with full attention. Another meaning he gives with bhakti and prem, which Prabhupada also gives. With loving ecstasy, that is Prabhupada's way of saying. So bhakti and prem, how will that happen? Bhakti is caused by his attractive qualities. Tadguna Shraya. Understanding his qualities, one begins bhakti. And Jiva Goswami quotes, Aho Bakiyam Stanakalakotam Jigam Sayaya Payad Apyasadvi Lebhe Gatim Dhatri Muchitam Tatonyam Kamva Dayalum Sharanam Brajema. So here which quality of the Lord? Compassion. Kamva Dayalum. Who could be more merciful, compassionate than Krishna, who delivered even Baki, who came to kill him? He made her nurse in the spiritual world, assistant to Yashoda Mai. So being attracted to Krishna's qualities, one will be beginning bhakti. Krishna has such nice qualities. In fact, so many, 64 qualities. So that is bhakti and prem. And Jiva Goswami says his lotus feet are worthy of worship. This indicates his beauty. The worship is continual. The worship be continual. It should not be stopped. You should delight in the worship. Other purusharthas are rejected completely. Dharma, artha, kam, moksha to be given up. One should not be after that. One should be only performing bhakti. Is it purusharth? Pancham purusharth. Generally, chatur purusharthas are talked. But bhakti is considered pancham purusharth. So one should perform that. Not have any mundane goal, but spiritual. Lord's pleasure. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, so what is his conclusion? You see, after Nivrutta Karma, Lord Kapila said, surrender to the Lord. Nivrutta Karma he described that 7th to up to 11th or so. So what is the 11th translation if you see? Therefore, my dear mother, by devotional service, take shelter, direct shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is seated in everyone's heart. So after Nivrutta Karma, he is saying surrender to the Lord. Now he has just described Pravrutta Karma, this Karma Kandi people. After Pravrutta Karma, what is the conclusion? Devotional service only. He also is saying same. 22nd, we can say. So 11th and 22nd, we can see it is stressing on bhakti only. So he's saying basically do not engage in Pravrutta or Nivrutta Karma. No. Just worship the Supreme Lord with devotion, with your complete mind. How to do that? Bhajasva Parameshtinam. Worship the Supreme Lord, who is Bhajaniya Padambujam, whose lotus feet are worth worshipping by bhakti, caused by his attractive qualities, Tadguna. To what honeybee would a lotus not give pleasure? To what honeybee would a lotus not give pleasure? So lotus is compared to Krishna, and honeybee, devotee, whosoever performs devotional service. So Krishna will give you all pleasure. So worship Krishna, that is the point. Whether Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur or Jiva Goswami, more or less the conclusion is the same, because sloka is the same. Next is quite close to what we have read. Pravritti, the sense gratification, in a what do you call, this way, scriptural way, and karma kandi way, like that. And in Nivrutti Marg, renunciation, keeping away from sense gratification and all that. Yeah, so goal is morning he discussed so nicely. So Vairagya is not the goal. Goal is attachment to Krishna, bhakti. Which paragraph? No, 5th or 6th? 6th. Prabhupada gives highest explanation. So that is perfect, because ultimately whatever you renounce, what should you renounce for? For Krishna only. Anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjanam. See, if you see the translation there, by executing one's occupational duties, acting with detachment and without a sense of proprietorship, nirmama nirhankrataha nivrutti dharma nirataha, in religious activities for detachment. So dharma aptena, by one's own occupational duty aptena executed, satvena parishuddhena chetasa. One is posted in one's constitutional position by dint of complete purification of consciousness, and by thus executing so-called material duties, he can easily enter into the kingdom of God. So Nivrutti Marg, is specially renouncing so much. In Jnana Marga, that is a lot of stress. Not that we don't have that in Bhakti, Nishkam Karma Yoga, one acts. In Jnana Marga, one gives up action also. because they will be binding like that. Basically, sense gratification is not the goal in the Nivrutti Marg, which is there in Pravrutti Marg. But if sense gratification is not the goal, then what is the goal? That should be clear. Service to Krishna. If that is not clear, then what is the use? Next, 23rd. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitah Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Yad Brahma Darshanam. So more or less 3 lines are same. So 3 lines are anyway same. Last Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayad Ahetukam. Here Jnanam Yad Brahma Darshanam. Engagement in Krishna consciousness and application of devotional service unto Krishna make it possible to advance in knowledge and detachment as well as in self-realization. Here Yad Brahma Darshanam is from which one realizes Brahman. Bhakti to the Supreme Lord Vasudeva produces quickly Jnana and Vairagya, from which one realizes Brahman. Jiva Goswami's translation. Prabhupada in the purport says, less intelligent men, it is said by less intelligent men that bhakti or devotional service is meant for persons who are not advanced in transcendental knowledge and renunciation. But Prabhupada says, in fact, but the fact is that if one engages in devotional service of the Lord in full Krishna consciousness, he does not have to attempt separately to practice detachment or to wait for an awakening of transcendental knowledge. These are automatically produced. Bhakti's 2 children are Jnana and Vairagya. So they come. And these 2 are very special. These are not like that ordinary Jnana and Vairagya, which will create disturbance. This is appropriate Vairagya. That is Anukulyasya Sankalpa and Pratikulyasya Varjanam. How many things are there in this part? Anukulyasya Sankalpa, how many are there? 6. And what are they? No, means how many of them are there? I mean, okay, 6 you told. What is it describing? Surrender. 6 symptoms of surrender. So Anukulyasya Sankalpa, Pratikulyasya Varjanam, Rakshishyati iti Vishwaso, Gopatrutve Varnam Tatha, Atmanikshapa Karpanya, Shadvidha Sharanagati. So 6. So all these 6 will be there in a Sharanagat Bhakta, in a devotee who is surrendered to the Lord. So he will naturally give up pratikul things, whichever are unfavorable. So that way he is Vairagi only. Krishna also says, Abhyasena to Kaunteya, Vairagyana ch gruhyate. So what that Vairagi is not giving up everything and taking to renounce sort of life. What is that Vairagya? Bhakti is different. Abhyasena to Kaunteya, Vairagyana ch gruhyate. What is this Abhyas? How is it translated? What is the translation of Abhyas? Practice. And Vairagya? Detachment. So what is the what to practice and what to detach from? Practice devotional service. Engage Vairagya means? Sense objects in the service of the Lord. Do's and don'ts basically. Whatever is favorable, you practice it. Keep practicing. And Vairagya, whatever is dangerous, unfavorable, keep yourself away from it. That is the point. Like somebody, by watching too many movies, he's gone crazy. And he keeps watching more and more things. What will happen? He'll go completely mad. So he should keep away from such negative things. That is Vairagya for him. And Abhyas, whatever positive things are there, that should be done. Prabhupada in the, you can read the Brahma Darshanam word on word, second paragraph.
Brahma Darshana means that as soon as one sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can at once realize what impersonal Brahman is.
Where is? Brahma Darshanam means to realize.
Brahma Darshana means to realize or to understand the transcendence. One who engages in the service of Vasudeva can actually realize what Brahman is. If Brahman is impersonal, then there is no question of darshanam, which means seeing face to face. Darshanam refers to seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudev. Unless the seer and the seen are persons, there is no darshanam. Brahma darshanam means that as soon as one sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can at once realize what impersonal Brahman is. A devotee does not need to make separate investigations to understand the nature of Brahman. Bhagavad Gita also confirms this. Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. A devotee at once becomes a self-realized soul in the absolute truth.
So Prabhupada's very nice point. Unless the seer and the seen are persons, there is no darshanam. So many people say, ना आज मेरे दर्शन हुए, मुझे दर्शन हुआ. मुझे दर्शन हुआ किसका हुआ? भगवान का हुआ. तो दोनों पर्सन से, both are persons. One who took darshan, he is also person, and जिनका दर्शन लिया वो भी person ही है. So Prabhupada निर्विशेष शून्यवादी, पाश्चात्य देश तारिणी. So he is against impersonalism, and that is appropriate also. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says, even the person desiring jnana should perform bhakti. Brahma darshanam, realization of Brahman. Brahma darshanam is realization of Brahman. So he should also perform bhakti. Jiva Goswami says the same. Even the person desiring jnana should perform bhakti. As Prabhupada says, as one sees Supreme Personality of Godhead, one also sees Brahman. Impersonal Brahma Jyoti. That Brahma Jyoti is coming from the body of the Lord. So that also, those who desire, they can get to see that. Basically, if you go to Krishna, that's why that 15th verse of Sri Upanishad. But what is the beginning of that?
हिरण्यमयेन पात्रेण
हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण सत्यस्यापि हितं मुखम्. So, oh Lord, please remove the dazzling effulgence so that I can see your beautiful form. One devotee was telling very nicely. So he in Hindi, Brahmavadi after light देख कर क्या बोलते हैं? आहा, देख लिया. भक्त बोलते हैं भगवान इसको हटा दो. Understood ना? लाइट देखा ब्रह्मवादी ने तो हाँ देख लिया मैंने, यानी परम ब्रह्म को देख लिया. क्या है वो? लाइट है, देख लिया मैंने. लेकिन भगवान भक्त क्या बोलते हैं? भगवान इसको हटा दो जरा, मैं आपका सुंदर दर्शन करना चाहता हूँ. तो ये डिफरेंस है. सो व्हेन वन हैज कृष्ण, दैट अदर टू एस्पेक्ट्स आर आल्सो देयर. परमात्मा, ब्रह्मन, दैट इज ऑल देयर. आई थिंक. हाँ, I don't know. Somehow I did not get into that Nirvishesh platform. From childhood, we are taught bhakti only. But we had in the school, they would tell us, घर में to increase memory, एक मोमबत्ती जलाओ, उसके लाइट की तरफ देखते रहो. तो वो देखते रहते थे हम. तो वैसे ही उनका कुछ, तो क्या दिखता है अभी वो उनको ही पता है. Anybody? Any understanding? In India, everybody is born personalist. Nobody knows. His question is, what do they see? उनको दिखता क्या? हम ऐसे सुंदर राधा और वृंदावन चंद्र के दर्शन करते, वो करते क्या है दिन भर? नहीं तो फिलोसॉफी हो गया. देखते क्या है? सामने देखने के लिए क्या है? That light only they see. We experience, we don't know. बस स्वानुभव तो नहीं है. ठीक है. 24th, 24 and 25 talk about symptoms of a devotee. By what symptoms should Gyan and Vairagya produced by bhakti be understood? By what symptoms should Gyan and Vairagya produced by bhakti be understood? ये ज्ञान और वैराग्य के द्वारा एक में भक्ति पैदा हुआ है, ये कौन से लक्षणों के द्वारा हम समझ सकते हैं? So the symptoms of a devotee, because his jnana and vairagya or vairagya has produced bhakti. So he's a bhakta now. So his symptoms are being described. Yadasya chittam artheshu sameshu indriya vrittibihi na vigruhnati vaishamyam priyam apriyam iti uta. The exalted devotee's mind becomes equipoised in sensory activities and he is transcendental to that which is agreeable and not agreeable. So two symptoms are being described here. Yada chittasya artheshu sama. Mind becomes equipoised in sensory activities. Means what is nice for the senses or eyes beautiful form. So that is very nice. And very ugly form, not good. So he has samachitta there, equipoised in sensory activities. And na vigrunhati vaishamyam priyam apriyam iti uta. What is considered to be priyam, desirable or agreeable and not agreeable is transcendental to all that. Because he's coming from Gyan background, Vairagya background. So this will be the case, equipoised. Brahmabhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati. When really kankshati means something beautiful seen, wow, I want more and more. No kankshati. And something very bad, how did I get to see that? How did I test that? So no. Na shochati na kankshati. Read the purport.
The significance of advancement in transcendental knowledge and detachment from material attraction is exhibited in the personality of a highly advanced devotee. For him, there is nothing agreeable or disagreeable because it does not act in any way for his personal sense gratification. Whatever he does, whatever he thinks, is for the satisfaction of the personality of Godhead.
So these are the two platforms as far as gross body, subtle body goes. So as far as our gross body is concerned, we should do everything for Krishna only. Krishna arthe, akhila, chesta, all endeavors for Krishna. And as far as our subtle body, mind thinking of Krishna's pleasure. Yeah, Krishna, but Krishna's pleasure. What would please Krishna the most? So okay, this. Okay, we are going to cook for Krishna. So what would be most pleasing to Krishna today? In case you know, you may cook that like that. Not that, I like gulab jamuns, I'll cook gulab jamuns for Krishna. No, what would Krishna like that? Like in flowers also, which is Krishna's favorite flower? Lotus. Huh? No one knows? Kadam. I was told that chapa or what, champak, golden color, champak, na? So I was told that is Krishna's favorite because that is Radharani's color. Nobody else has heard like that? Huh? True gardening. I was told like that. And Radharani's favorite is that blue. I don't know which one. Blue lotus or something. Basically thinking of Krishna's pleasure. In the 64 regulative principles also, offering Krishna favorite article. So in that two divisions are there. Offering Krishna, what is your favorite article? What is your favorite article? You offer it to Krishna. And other is Krishna's favorite article. So that also we should know. What? In? Where in? Gokul? Cooking. Okay. Yeah. In what we like, yeah, but we have to little be careful. Yeah, we have to cook first. And we should not think that, after Krishna, so that all thoughts should be kept away like that. Says what? Yeah, that is true. But in that also these two categories are there, no? That we are discussing. My God, both heavy. Yeah, that is true. Yeah. So yeah, basically Krishna's favorite, but that is the point. Yes, read ahead.
Either in the material world or in the spiritual world, his equipoised mind is completely manifested. You can understand that in the material world there is nothing good. Everything is bad due to its being contaminated by material nature. The materialist conclusions of good and bad, moral and immoral, etc., are simply mental concoction or sentiment.
So this is there in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Leela, 4th chapter, 176th verse. You can repeat after me. Dvaite bhadra bhadra gyan saba manodharma yai bhalo yai manda yai saba brahma. This is a very nice verse. Dvaite bhadra abhadra gyan. Because of the duality, one sees bhadra and abhadra gyan. This is good, this is bad, all that. Saba manodharma. This is all मनोधर्म, मेंटल कंकॉक्शन. यही भालो यही मंद, ये बहुत अच्छा है, ये बहुत बुरा है, यही सब भ्रम. So basically what we should not worry about our pleasure. We should not see from our viewpoint. We have to see from Krishna's viewpoint. We should so see for look for Krishna's pleasure. So this duality leads to all these things, and a lot of time gets wasted in this. We always hanker for pleasurable items, pleasurable people. Pleasurable means those who give us pleasure. All those who glorify us, we like them. All those who are against us, or against us means criticize us, we want to keep away from them. So this person is good, that person is bad. This group of people is good, that people bad. All that only. Yahi bhalo, yahi manda, yahi saba brahma. So one has to come out of mental platform. One has to come above mental platform. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmannevatmana tushtas prajasita pragyas tadochyate. So he gives up all desires, all varieties of mental concoctions, all varieties of desires arising from mental concoction. Prajahati yada kaman, he gives up all desires, sarvan partha manogatan, which are coming from mental concoction. So we should also be very careful, especially we can, though we have given up gross pleasures to some extent or the other, after coming to ashram we may just get into this only. This is very good, that is very bad. ये अच्छा हुआ, वो अच्छा नहीं हुआ, ऐसा होता तो बहुत अच्छा होता था, वैसा नहीं होता था तो अच्छा. All this we should not get into all this. One should, Krishna's viewpoint we should see. What Krishna likes, what Krishna wanted, and especially that which has happened, there is no point in lamenting because Krishna made it happen already. Behind everything, Krishna is only there. Understand? No, I think you are confused or thoughtful or what? Huh? Just like in the Sunday feast, let's say prasadam, somehow prasad fell short, like that. Then everybody has a comment to make. क्यों? क्योंकि इनको estimation नहीं. हाँ? नहीं, कृष्ण बोलते ना, ऐसे बोले नहीं. यो में भक्त्या प्रयच्छति, जो मुझे प्रेम और भक्ति से अर्पण करता है, बोलता है. ऐसे नहीं बोलता कि मैं ही प्रेमी भक्ति से खाता रहता हूँ, आप खाली देर हरि पलंगा और यू सिट देर. कृष्णा नेवर सेज दैट. कृष्णा सेज वर्क फॉर मी, बट आई एम टॉकिंग नाउ. हो गया, कम पड़ गया प्रसाद, सो देन एवरीबडी विल कीप कमेंटिंग. अरे क्यों कम पड़ा, इनको कुछ एस्टिमेशन नहीं किया इन्होंने, अरे कूपन तो बांटना चाहिए था, ये नहीं किया, वो नहीं किया, ऐसा करते तो अच्छा होता, वैसा करे तो अच्छा नहीं है, ये वो सब. So we should know already it has happened. If you are not the part of the solution, then you are part of the problem. So be the part of the solution by at least sympathizing with them. You can ask them, Prabhu, what happened? Somebody was saying something. Rather than direct, क्या प्रभु आपको आता नहीं क्या? पिछले साल का इतना रिकॉर्ड था, क्या हुआ? कुछ चूहे ने खा लिया क्या? किचन में बड़े बड़े चूहे हो गए. अपना एजेंडा बाहर आ जाएगा कि चूहों का ध्यान रखो. So we should little bit sympathize. And by Krishna's arrangement, somehow that thing has happened like that. Certainly we can afterwards, I don't know what they call analysis, we should do where it went wrong. What exactly was the thing which we could have, in case we avoid in future, not which we could have avoided already gone, which we could avoid in future. ठीक है, कुछ तो somehow हो गया. हर बार एक unique situation होता है many times. It is not like otherwise estimation we have, but somehow some things somewhere goes wrong, and that's how it has to be dukhalayam also. Everybody should know that we cannot make things completely perfect here. That is the plan to settle in this metal world, which Krishna will not allow. So Krishna will put a bomb somehow, sometime in all our lives. So from our side we should take care, but after things have happened, there's no point in lamenting. Find out what could have been done or what could be done in future now. So all this mental platform basically dictates ye acha hai, ye bura hai, ye acha, ye bura. We have to come out of all this and see from Krishna's viewpoint kya acha hai, kya hai acha nahi hai. Just like about His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj also, lot of discussions about Maharaj ne क्यों गए, जाना नहीं चाहिए था वगैरह. So lot of discussion. Ultimately, one of the sannyasis said that Krishna dictated him from within. And it was Prabhupada calling him. He could see it, so he left. So we don't have to. He's gone to Prabhupada's place. Certainly, we can say, like after His Holiness Gaur Krishnadas Maharaj left his body. You know a little bit, so something. Basically, he had that heart attack, and in Vrindavan there was no proper facility, and by the time he was being taken, something like that, he left his body. So His Holiness Bhakti Rasama Swami Maharaj said, so many devotees are there, precious devotees in ISKCON, they come to Vrindavan, and Vrindavan is a small place, we don't have hospital, so we could think of in that direction to have some better facilities, so that tomorrow somebody else faces with such difficulty, then we are from our side able to do take care better, like that. He could not get kind of any facility, so we could try to create those facilities, but still not necessary that but from our side we can take care. But the mental platform is most difficult, dangerous platform, in which we just keep commenting about anything and everything. Acha hua, acha nahi hua. But whether Krishna is sanctioning what we say acha hua, Krishna is saying ye acha hua kya, and what we say ye bad hua, Krishna is saying that bad or what, that we have to see from that viewpoint. That is the point in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Dvaite bhadra abhadra gyan sabha manodharma, yehi bhalo, yehi mando, yehi sabha brahma. You all might have heard, His Holiness Radha Swami Maharaj tells one story, that one man, he had the stable in which horses were there. I mean, he had a horse, it seems. So then one night, what happened? The horse was only missing. His friend came and said, "Hey, friend, what? I don't know. Yesterday night I had him here, but he left. Oh, बहुत बुरा हुआ, तुम्हारा एकलौता घोड़ा था. Horse is gone." And next, after a few days, that horse came with many other horses, some 75 horses were in the stable. And again, friend came, what happened? This fellow went and he developed some friendship with some horses, so they all came here. So we have now 75 horses or something. Oh, very good, very good. That happened very nicely. Then after some days, what happens? Son was riding on the horse, one of the horses. The poor fellow, he fell down, like that. So the friend came and क्या हुआ, अरे वो घोड़े के ऊपर से, oh बहुत बुरा हुआ, बहुत बुरा हुआ, अच्छा नहीं हुआ ये ऐसा, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए था वगैरह वगैरह. After some days again he came back. What happened? He said, that people are getting drafted for the war. He said, yeah, but my son is not taken. Why? Because he fell down from the horse and he had some knee, what do you call it, fractured. So they considered him disqualified. Oh, बहुत अच्छा, बहुत अच्छा. You understand? Same things. ये भालो, ये मंदो, ये भालो, ये मंदो, ये भालो. Ultimately, what? यही सब Brahma. You can never say in life, yeah, अच्छा हुआ, वो बुरा हुआ, अच्छा हुआ, बुरा हुआ. As far as material calculations go, in spiritual life, we can certainly say, that I failed in material life. Wow, that was great Krishna's arrangement, because I came to Krishna consciousness, or whatever else. But as far as material calculation, it is all material platform only. One should come out of it. This is 1-3, Ante Leela, 4th chapter, 176. Sakali Samman, Yehi Bhalo, Yehi Manda, Saramana. In the material world, conceptions of good and bad are all mental speculations. Similar, where is the other verse? Okay, ठीक है, आने दो, Haribol. Meaning is the same. No need to worry. Read them. Did you read the purport? हाँ, यही सब ब्रह्म. दैते भद्रा भद्र ज्ञान सब मनो धर्म, यही भालो, यही मंदो, यही सब भ्रम. ठीक है, जाने दो. That is details. We should not worry so much. What was I saying? So this is very important. If you just understand this one verse, you will save a lot of your time for good. Because all otherwise, brahmacharya ashram means mental platform to great extent. Yeah, Brahmachari and mind and brahmachari. How many of you feel that we have a lot of things to say to improve management? I have unlimited things to say. अगर सर्वलक्षण प्रभु पे जगह पे होता ना तो पूरा दुनिया को बदल देता था, लेकिन क्या करे, यही बैठे उधर. तो ये प्रॉब्लम हमारा. एंड नॉट ओनली अबाउट हिम, एनीथिंग. मैं अगर प्रेसिडेंट होता, मैं अगर एचओडी होता, मैं अगर आश्रम कॉम होता, ये वो. So but we can only imagine sometime you are there only now what, so much headache, at least I cannot handle it, so better I be off like that. We can give suggestion, there is nothing wrong in having ideas, improvement and all, कि ऐसा करेंगे तो सभी भक्तों के लिए अच्छा होगा. तो जाके जिसको है उनको बताओ. या हाँ, yeah, whatever is for Krishna service, then that could be अनुकूल्य से संकल्प. हाँ, yeah, yes, it is there, but that's what the pleasure, our pleasure should not be in the center. And then accordingly mental, it should not be mental platform, it should be spiritual platform. Ki if only this is introduced, all devotees could be helped, so that is okay. But otherwise, ऐसा होता तो अच्छा होता था, वैसा नहीं होता. So all that wastes so much of our money, time and energy. That is the point. Did you read the purport?
Actually, there is nothing good in the material world.
See, Prabhupada's words.
In the spiritual field, everything is absolutely good. There is no.
So when our consciousness is very spiritual, then whatever is happening around, you find Vishwam Purna Sukhayate. Everything is such a pleasurable thing here. So that kind of, if you are very high in Krishna consciousness, you will experience like that. But if you find some devotees could be helped by some means, so certainly we can give the suggestion to those who are appropriate people who could do something about it.
There is no inability in the spiritual varieties. Because a devotee accepts everything in spiritual vision, is equipoised. That is the symptom of his being elevated to the transcendental position. He automatically attains detachment, vairagya, then jnana, knowledge, and then actual transcendental knowledge. The conclusion is that an advanced devotee dovetails himself in the transcendental qualities of the Lord, and in that sense, he becomes qualitatively one with the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So Jnana and Vairagya will come automatically in the mode of goodness. Sometimes in ignorance one develops desire for Vairagya, and in passion one may be too much after so-called knowledge, but that is not appropriate. When we bhakti is there, Jnana and Vairagya will automatically be there. And as long as attachment is also there, one cannot have knowledge. Asakti, what is that word? Ichha dvesha samuthena, dvandva mohena, or vitaraga bhaya, not that. What is that? You should be free from these two, attachment and aversion. What is that? Raga dvesha vimuktaistu vishayan indriyascharan atmavashyar vidayatma prasadam adhigachyati. So raga and dvesh, attachment and aversion. So we should not be like that. So that aversion appears like vairagya. So it should not be that way. It should be proper bhakti janita, produced from bhakti, that vairagya, and that is center is Krishna only. This is not good in my service to Krishna, so I don't worry, I don't care, I don't focus on it like that. Yes, somebody had a question.
Guruji, I wanted to ask that when something happens in, let's suppose in management or some other devotee's life by which I'm not directly getting affected, so it becomes easy to see that ei bhalo, ei manda, ei sab mano brahma. But when something happens to myself where I'm directly getting affected or my own health goes in crisis or something happens, then how to see that it is mano?
We may not be able to see it. We should go to somebody who is above us and who could guide us properly. Sometimes we may think this is good, but after some time we may feel, no, this was not good. All that back and forth will happen. What you call sankalpa, vikalpa, all that mental platform. So we have to go to somebody who knows properly. At least from spiritual viewpoint, he is able to guide us. Now here it is a person who is coming from Jnana and Vairagya background. For him, bhakti, it leads to bhakti. Hmm. Hmm. No. This look at 24th we are discussing. Yeah. Yeah, because in the other paths also, they will have this thing, bhakti. Without that, yoga cannot happen only. First, it will be bhakti mishra gyan, and then eventually jnana mishra bhakti. And bhakti will predominate. And that bhakti will produce jnana and vairagya in itself also. So for them, both is there. This section is about that. By bhakti, goals of other paths are also achieved. Bhakti is the thing one should perform by which other things will be automatically, everything is included in bhakti. His question is answered, no? What? Did we read the purport? Yeah. 25th. 24th we read, no? Yeah. Because of his transcendental intelligence, the pure devotee is equipoised in his vision and sees himself to be uncontaminated by matter. He does not see anything as superior or inferior, and he feels himself elevated to the transcendental platform of being equal in qualities with the Supreme Person. So, Nisangam Samadarshanam. So, Samadarshanam. He does not see anything as superior or inferior. So, we should not see like that also. So ज्ञान should be there in us also, by which we don't see, ये होता तो मैं अच्छा भक्ति कर पाता था. नहीं, भक्ति cannot be interrupted. If it is a hetuki, it is uninterrupted also. In other paths, it may be so, but in bhakti, it is not like that. Read the purport.
Perception of the disagreeable arises from attachment.
We have attachment to something, and when it is not happening, then what happens? Disagreement.
A devotee has no personal attachment to anything.
See, all of us are devotees, want to be devotees. So we should not have any personal attachment to anything. Whatever pleases Krishna, that is what we are for. Sometimes it happens we feel that, after marathon, let the marathon go on for whole life. In 2008, when I was appointed as Jew there in charge, so after marathon got over, then I announced, so now this is the score, this. So now we want, it was in Hindi, तो अभी हम करेंगे ये book distribution अंतिम क्षण तक, मरते दम तक, इतना जोर से किया था. My God, यानी अभी मैराथन एंड नहीं हुआ है, इट्स वाज जस्ट ट्रेलर ना अभी करना. और बाद में क्या, वो दूसरे दिन से ये सब अलग अलग दिशा में, then something new comes up, wise people go wise preaching and this that, and हम सोचते हैं ना क्या है ना, इतना मैंने अनाउंसमेंट किया, बुक्स आर द बेसिस, प्रॉपर सेड व्हाट विल प्लीज, पूरा साल भर वही सोचते रहो, फिर आता है ऐसा. सो आई हैड आस्क्ड हिज होलीनेस गोपाल कृष्ण महाराज दिस क्वेश्चन कि क्या महाराज बाकी समय कुछ होता नहीं. बोले नहीं, इवन इन दिल्ली वी आर लाइक दैट, devotees are engaged in so many other things. They don't do book distribution throughout the year. When Maharaj was sitting on the sofa in that sannyasi room, sannyasi room there, Kunja Bihari, so he said, when it comes to December, then devotees throw away all the things like that, Maharaj. And they just focus on book distribution. They fully focus. They don't focus on, and then they get first prize like that. So you don't worry so much. Maharaj was consoling me. इतना भी जंप मत मारो. थोड़ा कि चलो महाराज बोल रहे तो जीपीसी थे, तो बोलो जीपीसी अगर बोले राधेश्याम प्रभु को थोड़ा घुमा देता, पूरा साल भर बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन करेंगे. So we have this kind of things, but we should not have so much attachment to our personal thing. Whatever Krishna has some, what do you call, before Janmashtami, fund collection only is important. Otherwise, then throughout the year, we will not be able to serve properly, like that. So different time, different things come up. You should accept them. So therefore, for him, there is no question of
agreeable or disagreeable. For the service of the Lord, he can accept anything, even though it may be disagreeable to his personal interest.
In fact, he is completely free from personal interest, and thus anything agreeable to the Lord is agreeable to him.
So how much important it is to be in connection with the Lord. So who would tell us what does Lord want at this time today in this situation? Huh? So who is that superior or superiors? We should know. Paramatma definitely, but some outside representative is also required. Somebody outside also is required. He's giving example.
For example, for Arjuna at first fighting was not agreeable, but when he understood that the fighting was agreeable to the Lord, he accepted the fighting as agreeable. That is the position of a pure devotee. For his personal interest, there is nothing which is agreeable or disagreeable. Everything is done for the Lord, and therefore he is free from attachment and detachment. That is the transcendental stage of neutrality. A pure devotee enjoys life in the pleasure of the Supreme Lord.
This reminds me of that Bhaktivinoda Thakur story, I believe, in Upadekshopakhyanai. That master tells, owner says to the servant, of all the subjis, potato ka sabji kitna badhiya hai. बोले हाँ, then servant में अरे पोटैटो ऐसा कौन सा सब्जी है जिसमें पोटैटो नहीं डाल सकते हम. Potato is the king of all the subjis and this that. And then he says actually potato क्या है ना, बहुत cheap है, it's not a good food, but actually what, बैंगन बैंगन सबसे बढ़िया सब्जी. हाँ बैंगन, अरे बैंगन जैसा सब्जी नहीं, क्या दिखता है वो एंड क्या पकता है वो. And he started, so then after some time it was happening like that. Then the master said, what are you standing for potato or बैंगन? So what did he say? I stand for your liking. If you say potato is best, potato is the best subject in the creation. And if you say no, potato is the third class, potato is third class, 10th class, 100th class, and bangan is the best. So this is story, but in life to translate is very difficult, because we have all our opinion. नहीं ऐसा ही होना चाहिए, ऐसा होगा तो perfection. ये डिपार्टमेंट में, ये टेम्पल में, ये पुणे में, या जो भी है, जहाँ कहीं भी. So we have to cool down. We have to know Krishna's desire is coming through some superiors. That is what is going to happen. What is Krishna's desire? That's why Bhaktan Thakur, before going ahead with any project service, what would he say? Krishna willing. Krishna willing. कृष्ण की इच्छा है तो होगा. हमारी इच्छा है ऐसी भगवान की सेवा करने की. But if Krishna will so, then it will happen. Otherwise, whatever Krishna wants. Man proposes, God disposes. So we have to be very clear with this. If only we understand this principle, we could be very peaceful, and a lot of time will be saved to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Because all these attachment aversions, they only will haunt us during chanting. All that attachment you have, it will come like anything, one after the other. And aversions also, उसने कल ऐसा क्यों बोला, ऐसा नहीं बोलना चाहिए, ये सब. And attachment aversion, these are the two sides of same coin, and this is what is conditional life. We have to transcend it. We'll take a break of 5 minutes, then we'll resume. Hare Krishna. Who could rectify the situation, because we are incapable of, and we don't get any support from the top. So somewhere side somewhere something has to be found out by proper ways, in a sense, not by blaming, accusing, criticizing, all that blame game we should not get into.
When Maharaj was, because answering this, he was telling how you put it most important.
Yeah.
But how you put it, if you put it in a wrong way, then it's very bad.
Yeah, that's what. So already there is some problem. Now if we act in a wrong way, then it becomes further problem. So it's not a solution. So find out the solution. If you know, fine. But if you are not able to implement, then go to somebody else who could help in some way. Otherwise, it's like, you are getting burned then, in a sense. You are not able to do anything, but also there is some problem. All that. It's like, simple thing. If I get thorn pricked in my foot, I get pain, but I'm not able to take it out. So I should go to doctor. Okay, this doctor cannot do it. Somebody else, some doctor will know. Like that. I should be freed from pain. That's the point. So 26th This 22nd to 26 is about conclusion. 26. Jnanamatram param brahma paramatmeshwarah puman दृश्यादिभिः पृथक् भावैर् भगवानेक ईयते. The Supreme Personality of Godhead alone is complete transcendental knowledge. Jnanamatram param brahma. But according to different processes of understanding, he appears differently. Drishya adibihi prathak bhaver. So he appears differently, either as impersonal Brahman, as Paramatma, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or as the Purusha avatar. So he may be Brahma, Paramatma, Ishwar Puman, or Purusha. So different explanations are given by different acharyas, basically referring to the Supreme, perceived as Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagwan, Purusha Avataras, Prabhupada is saying Purusha Avatar, or one place, consciousness alone, Jiva Goswami says like that. So he is only alone is complete transcendental knowledge, but because of the processes, he is perceived differently. That is the point. Read the, okay, I will read this. Impersonally merge into the impersonal Brahman, but that is not achieved by worshipping the impersonal Brahman. If one takes to devotional service and at the same time desires to merge into the existence of the Supreme Lord, he can achieve that. If someone desires at all to merge into the existence of the Supreme, he has to execute devotional service. So even Jnana Yoga has bhakti in it, though small in quantity. That's how he can be connected to the Supreme in the form of Brahman, and he can achieve. Otherwise, pure speculation, one will not be able to reach Brahman itself. So there has to be some element of bhakti there. He says the Paramatma feature and Brahman feature are invisible, but the Bhagwan feature is visible. Perceptions are different, of the Supreme, same Supreme only. Just like a clean city, one devotee was telling, is very much liked by us. I believe Bangalore is the most clean city in India. That's what I was seeing the advertises there. So we like a very clean city, but who doesn't like hogs and rats? अरे क्या है, कितना गंदा है, क्योंकि इधर गंदगी ही नहीं है. So perceptions are different. Certainly we cannot compare that all the way to Supreme, but Jnana Marg or Dhyan Marg or Bhakti Marg. So same Supreme Lord is only being perceived, but perceived differently according to the processes. Prabhupada says in the last paragraph, the devotee can see the Supreme Lord face to face, but the Jnani, the empiric philosopher or yogi cannot. They cannot be elevated to the positions of associates of the Lord. There is no evidence in the scriptures stating that by cultivating knowledge or worshipping the impersonal Brahman, one can become a personal associate of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nor by executing the yogic principles can one become an associate of the Supreme Godhead. Impersonal Brahman, being formless, is described as Adrushya, because the impersonal effulgence of Brahmajyoti covers the face of the Supreme Lord. Some yogis see the four-handed Vishnu sitting within the heart, and therefore in their case also, the Supreme Lord is invisible. Only for the devotees is the Lord visible. Here the statement Drushi Adivihi is significant, since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is both invisible and visible. There are different features of the Lord. Paramatma feature and Brahman feature are invisible, but the Bhagwan feature is visible. In the Vishnu Puran, this fact is very nicely explained. The universal form of the Lord and the formless Brahman effulgence of the Lord being invisible are inferior features. The concept of the universal form is material and the concept of impersonal Brahman is spiritual, but the highest spiritual understanding is the personality of Godhead. Next 27 to 36 talk about attaining Bhagwan. Attaining Bhagwan realization is the ultimate goal of all Vedic practices. So earlier section was talking about bhakti. Of all the processes, bhakti, is the culmination. And now it's going to the person, Bhagwan. Attaining Bhagwan realization is the ultimate goal of all Vedic practices. Within that also, in the beginning, 27 to 31, Lord Kapila speaks on Jnana. And 27th in particular talks about detachment common to all practitioners. Etavan eva yogena samagreneha yoginah yujjate abhimato hi artho yadasangastu krutshnasaha. The greatest common understanding for all yogis is complete detachment from matter, which can be achieved by different kinds of yoga. So detachment is common to all, that is of all practitioners. So that is agreed upon by all. Srila Vishnu Chakti Thakur or Jiva Goswami, one of them says this complete detachment from matter, so that is desired goal. Abhimata artha. Abhimata is desired. Artha is purpose or goal. And detachment from matter means detachment from sense objects. Sense objects will remain, but one should not be attached to them. That goal has to be achieved through whatever practice one adopts, whether Jnana Marg, Dhyana Marg, or Bhakti Marg, or whatever. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, by complete detachment alone, one's desired goal of prema or liberation is achieved. For Bhakta, goal will be prema, and for others, it will be liberation from the cycle of birth and death. But by complete detachment alone, one's desired goal is achieved. One cannot be attached in this world. Jiva Goswami says, Bhakti is the root in all cases. Other processes like Gyan simply create detachment from matter. So he is again stressing on Bhakti. 28 to 30 talk about the Lord is the source of everything. '28 in particular talks about wrong perception through speculation. Those who are averse to the transcendence realize the supreme absolute truth differently through speculative sense perception. And therefore, because of mistaken speculation, everything appears to them to be relative. So everything is false, is not true. That is being stated. Because in the next verse, Lord Kapila says everything rests on me. Yata mahan aham rupa. So everything is not false. You can read last paragraph, second last paragraph. In this verse,
In this verse, it is clearly said that those who are averse to the Supreme Personality of Godhead speculate with their imperfect senses about the nature of the Absolute Truth. The formless Brahman conception, however, can be received only by oral reception and not by personal experience. Knowledge is therefore acquired by oral reception. It is confirmed in the Vedanta Sutra, Shastra Yonitvat. One has to acquire pure knowledge from the authorized scriptures. So-called speculative arguments about the absolute truth are therefore useless. The actual identity of the living entity is his consciousness, which is always present while the living entity is awake, dreaming, or in deep sleep. Even in deep sleep, he can perceive by consciousness whether he is happy or distressed. Thus, when consciousness is displayed through the medium of the subtle and gross material bodies, it is covered. But when the consciousness is purified in Krishna consciousness, one becomes free from the entanglement of repeated birth and death. When uncontaminated,
that is enough. So Lord is source of everything. That is the section we are discussing. 29 is talking the Lord is the source. So everything is not false because it rests on the Lord. So that is in the 29th. Yatha mahan aham rupas trivrut panchavidha swarat ekadasha vidhastasya vapur andam jagat yataha. From the total energy, the Mahat Tattva, I have manifested the false ego, the three modes of material nature, the five material elements, the individual consciousness, the 11 senses, and the material body. Similarly, the entire universe has come from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So everything is coming from Lord. That is the point. The whole universe came from Supreme Personality of Godhead. So individual body and universal body, both are products of Mahat Tattva, and Mahat Tattva is coming from Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the middle somewhere, Prabhupada says Swarat. Swarat means independent. The Supreme Lord is independent and the individual soul is also independent. Although there is no comparison between the two qualities of independence, the living entity is minutely independent and the Supreme Lord is fully independent. As the individual soul has a material body made of 5 elements and the senses, the Supreme Independent Lord similarly has the gigantic body of the universe. The individual body is temporary. Similarly, the entire universe, which is considered to be the body of the Supreme Lord, is also temporary. And both the individual and universal bodies are products of the Mahat Tattva. One has to understand the differences with intelligence. Everyone knows that his material body has developed from a spiritual spark. And similarly, the universal body has developed from the supreme spark, super soul. As the individual body develops from the individual soul, the gigantic body of the universe develops from the supreme soul. So both are coming from the Lord only. Whether universal body or individual body, they come from Mahat Tattva. Mahat Tattva comes from the Lord. So thus everything is, source is Lord. Now next is talking about qualification for Gyan, 30th verse, or how to see Brahman by 6 things that are mentioned in that verse itself. Etadvai shraddhaya bhaktya yogabhyasena nityashah samahitatma nissango viraktya paripashyati. This perfect knowledge can be achieved by a person who is already engaged in devotional service with faith, shraddhaya, steadiness, that is bhaktya, and full detachment, that is I think viraktya, and who is always absorbed in thought of the Supreme. Samahitatma mostly. Is aloof from material association, nissango. So shraddhaya, bhaktya, maybe yoga abhyasena, samahitatma, nissango, viraktya. 6 things. So devotee has perfect knowledge because he has these things. Jiva Goswami says the practice should be constant with a controlled mind. Steadiness. One cannot see the conscious entity by atheistic Sankhya, devoid of bhakti, by discrimination alone. So atheistic Sankhya is devoid of bhakti because everything is, this is material, this is material. So what is ultimate, that is not concluded in atheistic Sankhya, as contrast to Kapila Dev's Sankhya. So there only discrimination is being used, but one doesn't reach the ultimate end. So by that one cannot practice. Are all of all getting something? It's little tough section only. All Gyan. You may afterwards read whole purports. Some better understanding will develop. Next, 31st. Iti etat kathitam gurvi jnanam tad brahma darshanam enanubudhyate tattvam prakrutehe purushasya cha. My dear respectful mother, this is Gurvi. I have already described the path of understanding the absolute truth, by which one can come to understand the real truth of matter and spirit and their relationship. Yena anubudhyate tattvam one will understand the nature, tattva. Which one? Prakrute Purushasya cha, of Prakriti and Purusha, of matter and spirit. So Jiva Goswami Path says the same thing. I have already described the path of understanding the absolute truth, that is Jnanam, which is understood only through scriptures, he says. And Vishnu Chakra Thakur says, now Kapila summarizes the topic to make it easier to understand in the next 30 seconds. So 32nd to 36 is various paths ultimately to realize Bhagwan. In particular, 32nd is talking the goal of Gyan and Bhakti is one only. Because that next line, if you see, Dvayor api eka eva artho, दोनों का एक ही अर्थ है, यानी एक ही गोल है. क्या है? भगवत शब्द लक्षणः. ज्ञान योगश्च मन्निष्ठो नैर्गुण्यो भक्ति लक्षणः द्वयोरपि एक एवार्थो भगवत शब्द लक्षणः. Philosophical research culminates in understanding the supreme personality of Godhead. ज्ञान योगश मत निष्ठो, उसमें वो culminate होता है. After achieving this understanding, when one becomes free from material modes of nature, nirgunyo, because of this understanding, Brahman, one becomes free from the modes of material nature, nirgunyo. He attains the stage of devotional service, bhakti lakshana, either by devotional service directly or by philosophical research. Dvayoropi eka evartho, one has to find the same destination, that is Bhagavad Shabda Lakshana, which is the supreme personality of Godhead. So I believe this verse is little easier, isn't it? And very clear also. Whether Gyan Yog, Man Nishto, Nirgunya, Bhakti Lakshana, दोनों का एक ही goal है, Bhagavad Shabda Lakshana. Prabhupada says in the purport, Bahunam Janmanam Ante, after many births, one comes to understand that Vasudeva is the supreme end all and be all. Such serious students in philosophical research are rare. They are very rare because they are very great souls. If by philosophical research one cannot come to the point of understanding the supreme person, then his task is not finished. His search in knowledge is still to be continued until he comes to the point of understanding the supreme Lord in devotional service. So he has to come to this understanding only, Bhagwan only. So if he has not come to that understanding, search has to continue. It may take few more lifetimes, but ultimately this is the point. And Prabhupada also says, Kleshodika tarastesham, those who come by this impersonal understanding of the Supreme, they find the path troubled because they are again and again getting those impersonal conceptions haunting them. And Krishna says in Bhagavata, Brahmano hi pratishtaham amrutasya vyasya cha. I am the basis of impersonal Brahman, which is indestructible and the supreme bliss. So it's very clear, Krishna only is to be achieved. Jiva Goswami says, you can open 11, 25, 24. That is Jiva Goswami quoting. Though Gyan is not beyond the gunas, Gyan is not beyond gunas. Eleventh canto. 11.25.24. You type that, it will come. Kaivalyam satvikam jnanam rajo vaikalpikam chayat. नीचे prakrutam tamasam jnanam annishtham nirgunam smrutam. Go beyond translation. Read this.
Absolute knowledge is in the mode of goodness. Knowledge based on duality is in the mode of passion. And foolishness, materialistic knowledge, is in the mode of ignorance. Knowledge based upon me, however, is knowledge based upon me is, however, understood to be transcendental.
Go up, Prabhu. Shloka again. So if the Kaivalyam Satvikam Jnanam. So the knowledge about impersonal Brahman is Satvik Jnana. So Jiva Goswami is saying, though Jnana is not beyond the gunas, it is called Nirgun. Why it is called Nirgun? Since its result, liberation, is beyond the gunas. Knowledge may be the product of Sattvagun, but its result is Nirgun, that is liberation, is beyond the gunas. The goal of both practices is the same, whether bhakti or gyan, it is the same. Goal is the supreme, going beyond the gunas. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes 12.4. Prabhu, you can type Bhagavad Gita. Anybody remembers the verse? 4. ये तु अक्षरम अनिर्दिश्यम अव्यक्तं पर्युपासते सर्वत्रगम अचिन्त्य च कूटस्थम अचलम ध्रुवम सन्नियम्येन्द्रिय ग्रामम सर्वत्र समबुद्धय ते प्राप्नुवन्ति मामेव सर्वभूत हिते रतः. Read the translation.
But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed, and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equal disposed to everyone, such persons engage in the welfare of all, at last achieve me.
At last they achieve me. It may take long time, but bahunam janmanam ante. But that is the case. Search doesn't end till there is the Supreme. 33rd. A single object is appreciated differently by different senses due to its having different qualities. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is one, but according to different scriptural injunctions, he appears to be different. So he gives very nice example. Through the example, it becomes easy to understand. Prabhupada in purport says, by the process of Jnana Yoga, the same personality of Godhead appears to be impersonal, as the same object appears to be different when perceived by different senses. The same Supreme Lord appears to be impersonal by mental speculation. A hill appears cloudy from a distance, and one who does not know may speculate that the hill is a cloud. Actually, it is not a cloud. It is a big hill. One has to learn from authority that the sight of a cloud is not actually a cloud, but a hill. If one makes a little more progress, then instead of cloud, he sees the hill and something green. So next, another example very nice that is given by Rupa Goswami Pad in Laghu Bhagavatamrit. When we see milk, can you read? Could you read that? Okay, you read otherwise.
When we see milk, we see that it is white. When we taste it, it appears that milk is very palatable. When we touch milk, it appears very cold. When we smell milk, it appears to have a very good flavor. And when we hear, we understand that it is called milk. Perceiving milk with different senses, we say that it is something white, something very delicious, something very aromatic, and so on. Actually, it is milk. Similarly, those who are trying to find the Supreme Godhead by mental speculation may approach the bodily effulgence or the impersonal Brahman, and those who are trying to find the Supreme Godhead by yoga practice may find him as the localized supersoul. But those who are directly trying to approach the Supreme Truth by practice of Bhakti Yoga can see him face to face as the Supreme Person.
So this is clear. Then milk has different perceptions. Whatever you perceive it through, it has different understanding. So complete understanding is Bhagwan understanding. Or the other example of those 6 blind men also we know. They all had some idea about the elephant, but only some partial, not full. Only one who has eyes, he knows full. Next paragraph also you can read. He's not particularly saying harm is other paths. Other paths are giving you some idea, some perception. देखने से white, touch करने से cold, by tasting palatable, sweet, flavor वगैरह. So these are all different understandings of the Supreme. Prabhupada's example of sunlight or the cloud here, that also is okay. Sun has sunlight, sun has sun globe, and sun god himself. So That same thing here in Lagu Bhagavatamrita, Rupa Goswami is giving milk example. Yes, next paragraph.
Ultimately, the Supreme Person is the destination of all different processes. The fortunate person who, by following the principles of scriptures, becomes completely purified of all material contamination, surrenders unto the Supreme Lord as everything. Just as one can appreciate the real taste of milk with the tongue and not with the eyes, nostrils, or ears, one can similarly appreciate the absolute truth perfectly and with all relishable pleasure only through one path, devotional service.
So here devotional service is compared to testing milk with tongue. Then you get complete understanding. Whether you have seen the color white or not, smelt it or not, you get full understanding and nourishment also by drinking milk with the tongue. Yes.
This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati. If one wants to understand the absolute truth in perfection, he must take to devotional service. Of course, no one can understand the absolute truth in all perfection. That is not possible for the infinitesimal living entities. But the highest point of understanding by the living entity is reached by discharge of devotional service, not otherwise.
So that is the conclusion. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, one portion of the Lord is pursued by karma, gyan, and other scriptural processes. Shastra Vartma Bhi. That's how he translates that as the Lord who gives Swarga, or as the Atma or Brahman who gives liberation. Since the Lord is also the form of Swarga and liberation, but by Bhakti, the chief sadhan, Bhagwan, the object of prema, who includes all the other forms and who gives all results, is realized. So Lord can give others all things also as per the practitioner's aspiration, but through bhakti one gets Supreme Personality of Godhead full. Prabhupada ahead talks about Brahmananda is unlimited. That is Tad Brahma Nishkalam Anantam. Brahmananda is unlimited, but that unlimited pleasure can also be surpassed. That is the nature of the transcendence. The unlimited can be surpassed also, and that higher platform is Krishna. Towards the end, he says, Bhakti is the basic principle of all processes. Without Bhakti, neither Gyan Yoga nor Ashtanga Yoga can be successful. And unless one approaches Krishna, the principles of self-realization have no ultimate destination. In Lagu Bhagavatamrita, Jiva Goswami, Rupa Goswami writes, different types of worship descending on the, depending on the external senses, pursues limited aspects of the Lord. And Bhakti, depending on the mind, pursues all qualities in the Lord. Like milk, you can see with the eyes to be white, but ultimately who is understanding? Like mind. Similarly, all the other things also smell. And the mind is very important function. It's the chief of all the senses. Sometimes we use this word absent-mindedly. So you may do an act, but if you are absent-minded, it is something like not done also, because you did not know, you don't know what happened over there. So he's saying different types of worship depending on the external senses pursue limited aspects of the Lord, and bhakti depending on the mind pursues all qualities in the Lord. So Jiva Goswami says the senses perceive separately and the mind pursues everything. Because bhakti pursues all aspects of the Lord, it is compared to the mind. You are getting? Basically some analogy. It is called as mind. Next, 34th to 36, 3 verses. They talk about scriptural paths. Different paths are explained. Basically, brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasi, all that. I'm reading the translation. By performing fruitive activities and sacrifices, by distributing charity, kratubihi dana, by performing austerities, tapaha, by studying various literature, swadhyay, by conducting philosophical research, marshan, by controlling the mind, atmendriya, by subduing the senses, whatever the word, by accepting the renounced order of life, sannyas, and by performing the prescribed duties of one's social order, karmanam, by performing the different divisions of yoga practice, yogena, by performing devotional service, and by exhibiting the process of devotional service containing the symptoms of both attachment and detachment. Vividangena and detachment. By understanding the science of self-realization, Atma Tattva, it is going ahead also. Dharma ubhay, dharmena ubhay chinnena, pravrutti nivrutti. That is explained already. And then Atma Tattva, bodhena. And by developing a strong sense of detachment, vairagyena, drudhena, one who is expert in understanding the different processes of self-realization realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is represented in the material world as well as in transcendence. Saguna, Nirguna, as is perceived here in this world as Saguna and in the other world as Nirguna. So one can understand him. One can, what is that last word? One who is expert in understanding the different processes of self-realization. So one can understand. So there are a lot of discussion on this. So Saguna is three things this for grahastas. Kratubihi, dan, kriya, kratubihi and dan. By performing fruitive activities, sacrifices and distribution of charity. This is for grahastas. Tapa is for tapa is for vanaprastha, I think. So Adhyaya and Marshan for brahmacharis. Then Atmendriya for sannyasis, it seems. Then Yogena, that is part of Upasana Kand. Then Bhakti Yogena is, Jiva Goswami says, by Prema. Then Vividha Angena, Jiva Goswami says, Jnana Kand. Atma Tattva, Avabodh. Jiva Goswami says, by realization of Brahman. So Sagun worship, different explanations are there by different acharyas. Sagun is Swarga, attaining by Karma Marga, attained by Karma Marga. Then Brahman, attained by realization of Brahman. Bhagwan, attained by realization of, attained by Bhakti Yoga. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Ashtang Yoga, Gyan, combinedly they give realization of Brahman. Ashtang Yoga with Bhakti give realization of Bhagwan. And sometimes Yogi also realizes Swarga. So depending on different aspirations of different practitioners, they get different revelations. Swadruk is translated or elaborated by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur as the Lord who sees only his own pure devotees because of the attachment. Swadruk, अपने ही लोगों को देखते वो, यानी अपने ही भक्तों को. The Lord who sees only his own pure devotees because of attachment. Lord is attached to his devotees. Or another explanation also there. The Lord is Lord in whom there is realization, druk, of his own form. Swa. Realization is druk and form is swa. The Lord in whom there is realization of his own form. Not partial forms like Paramatma. It means Bhagwan who is attained by pure bhakti. So little technical, but not that difficult to understand also. Prabhupada in purport says, first paragraph middle, for the grahasthas, the householders, or performance of sacrifices, distribution of charity and action according to prescribed duties are especially recommended. Similarly, austerity, study of the Vedic literature and philosophical research are meant for the vanaprasthas or retired persons. Study of the Vedic literature from the bona fide spiritual master is meant for brahmacharis. For brahmacharis, study of the scriptures. For vanaprasthas, austerity, tapa, study of Vedic literature and philosophical research. Atmendriya Jaya, control of the mind and taming of the senses is meant for persons in the renounced order of life. All these different activities are prescribed for different persons so that they may be elevated to the platform of self-realization and from there to Krishna consciousness, devotional service. Next paragraph in the middle or 2-3 lines later, The words chaiva hi, according to Sanskrit grammar, indicate that one must perform all these activities mixed with devotional service. Otherwise, such activities will not produce any fruit. You have heard that, what is that? Aradito yadi hari, tapasa tata king. Na aradito yadi hari, tapasa tata king. Antarbahir yadi haris, tapasa tata king. Na antarbahir yadi haris, tapasa tata king. So everywhere Lord is to be realized, or practice has to be mixed with devotional service to some extent or the other. Yat karoshi yadashnashi Prabhupada's quotes. Then ahead, Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam. He is the object of realization. The words Dharmeno Bhaya Chinnena and Dharmena Ubhaya Chinnena mean that the Bhakti Yoga process contains two symptoms, namely attachment for the Supreme Lord and detachment from all material affinities. There are two symptoms of advancement in the process of devotional service, just as there are two processes taking place while eating. A hungry man feels strength and satisfaction from eating, and at the same time, he gradually becomes detached from eating anymore. You might have heard that word. What is that? Bhakti Pareshanubhava Viraktir Anyatra Chaishan Triloka. In that Tushti Pushti Kshudapayo Anughasam. With every morsel of food that one eats, Tushti, one feels completely satisfied. Pushti, body gets strength. And Shudapayo, hunger is over, completed, done. So those three things, as I understand, is put in two ways. A hungry man feels strength and satisfaction from eating. So this is like one thing. And at the same time, he gradually becomes detached from eating anymore. Basically, from bhakti, you get completely satisfied from all spiritual activities, and material things you are not interested into. So that is the effect. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, just as Bhagwan is the chief form of the Lord, bhakti is the chief among all processes. Of all the forms of the Lord, Bhagwan is the chief. Of all the processes to achieve the realization of the Supreme, bhakti is supreme. Jiva Goswami says the cause of full realization of Bhagwan is bhakti, and the cause of partial realization of Bhagwan is other processes. If you want full realization, bhakti, and partial realization, then other processes are also there. Towards the end, last paragraph, Prabhupada says, all the different demigods are material representations of the Supreme Lord. By material activities, one can approach only such demigods, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, Yanti Devavrata Devan. Those who are attached to demigods and who perform the prescribed duties can approach the abodes of the demigods. In this way, one can go to the planet of the Pitas or forefathers. Similarly, one who fully understands the real position of his life adopts devotional service and realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Basically, that Yanti Devavrata Devan, Pitrun Yanti Pitruvata, Bhutani Yanti Bhutaja, Bhuteja, Yanti Madhyajano Apimam. So, except that Bhutani Yanti Bhuteja, Prabhupada has given the kind of translation of all. Next, 37 and 38 talk about summary of time and fruitive activities. Though it was described earlier, it is just being described again. Just I'll take 5 more minutes and we'll end here. So 37 to 43 as such talk about qualification to receive this knowledge. And in that beginning, these two verses talk about summary of time and fruitive activities. 37, please repeat. Pravocham bhakti yogasya swarupam te chaturvidham kalasya cha avyakta gatayor antardhavati jantushu yo antardhavati jantushu. My dear mother, I have explained to you, Pravocham, the process of devotional service, Bhakti Yoga, and its identity in 4 different social divisions, Swarupam Te Chaturvidham. I have explained to you as well as how eternal time is chasing the living entities, Kalasya Avyakta Gatayo. It is not perceived so easily, Kalagati, Kala Chakra, although it is imperceptible to them. So it is dhaving, antardhavati, yo antardhavati jantushu. Kal is behind every living entity, but avyakta is not perceivable. So basically, what is saying? What is that? Swarupam te chaturvidham. I have already told to you devotional service, who has 4 forms. Swarupam te chaturvidham. Where is Prabhupada writing them? Huh? Ah, bhakti in passion, bhakti in goodness, bhakti in ignorance, and bhakti in Shuddha Sattva, that is Nirguna Bhakti. So Jiva Goswami says that bhakti is in all these three modes and then beyond also. And two characteristics of time, it is chasing after all living entities, yo antar dhavati jantushu, but avyakta gatayo, unknown to them, that means imperceivable by them, imperceptible. Prabhupada in purport says the process of bhakti yoga, devotional service, is the main river flowing down towards the sea of the absolute truth. It's a nice explanation. And all other processes mentioned are just like tributaries. You all know these tributaries. So there are many small, here, there, they go here. But what is the main river flow? Bhakti. Bhakti only goes towards the Lord. Devotional service, ahead he says, mixed with the modes of material nature is a means for material existence, where a devotional service without desires for fruitive result and without attempts for empirical philosophical research is pure transcendental devotional service. So with modes, it is continuing material existence. But if it is without all those material desires, fruitive action, etc., then it is transcendental devotional service. 38. Jivasya samsrutir bhavir avidya karma nirmitaha yashu anga pravishannatma na veda gatimatmanaha. There are varieties of material existence for the living entity. Jivasya samsrutir bhavi. Both hai. Living entity according to the work he performs, karma nirmita, in ignorance, avidya, or forgetfulness of his real identity. My dear mother, if anyone enters into that forgetfulness, yasu anga pravishan atma, he is unable to understand where his moments will end. No ved, he does not know. Gatir atmanah, uska kaha ant hoga. So there are many varieties of material existence. So it's very complicated. Just like karmana gahano gatihi. So like that, entering in all these different varieties of material existence, for his work, etc. If he's especially forgetful of the Lord, where would the end be? Is unpredictable kind of. Prabhupada towards the end in purport says, unless the living entity receives the mercy of the saintly persons, the spiritual master or Krishna, it is not possible for him to get out of the darkness of material existence by his own endeavor. It is not possible. Yeah, I think that's the end. Any question? Bit philosophical, but that is how it is. So 16 to 21 was talking about, it talks about those who are materially attached. And then 22 onwards, he's speaking how all the processes lead into bhakti only. Bhakti is the goal basically. And then attaining Bhagwan, the relation is the ultimate goal. So bhakti through all processes, bhakti is topmost of all the forms. Bhagwan is the topmost. That is the discussion. And this particular section is talking about qualifications to receive this knowledge. In that, this was about time and fruitive activities. Any question? Online? No question. So we'll end here. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, शिल प्रभुपाद की जय, समवेत गौर भक्तवृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी।